It's that time of year again when runners from far and wide make their annual migration to the grounds of Belvoir Estate in Leicestershire, England. A very special date in the running calendar awaits them, 24 hours of running. Whether in a team, a pair or solo, there's no denying the challenge and the magic of Equinox 24. Today I'll be taking a look back at the 2017 event to try and give a flavour of the event and answer your questions such as what is it and why on earth would anyone do something like this? Join me as I take a look back at Equinox 24 2017. First of all, my name is Richard, but I'm often known as Spider Stan by those on the running circuit due to my never-ending supply of Spider-Man themed running gear. This will be my third Equinox, in addition to the Virtual Runner Equinox held earlier in the year. When I'm not at my day job, I can be found running around Norfolk, Latvia, Finland, Poland, Sweden, the Netherlands, and anywhere else I can find. When I'm not doing that, I'm making stupid videos about running, as you guys just can't seem to get enough of them. I'm no specialist runner, club member, or professional. I'm just a guy that has fun running, and has fun meeting other runners. Equinox 24 has a special place in my running career. It's where I first achieved a double marathon, a triple marathon, and also got engaged at the end of last year's race, all caught on camera by Glenn Curley's photography team. It's undoubtedly the people that make this event. Each year you'll come away with your own story and witness others happening throughout the weekend. Equinoxes really are just one big family. My story of 2017 started back in February as I kicked off my Spider Stan Challenge. A year of events including a 10k, a half marathon, 5 marathons and 3 ultramarathon events, all culminating in an attempt to win the silver pin at Equinox, awarded to those finishing 15 laps and above. The year leading up to Equinox had gone really well. I'd come third in the Runstock Ultra, second in the Virtual Equinox event, and posted some fairly consistent times all season. This year my challenge was in aid of Stoke Mandeville Spinal Research Charity, who had helped a former lecturer of mine after an accident that paralysed him. What had started off as a mission to raise funds for research sadly turned into a far more poignant mission of remembrance due to his passing in July. Dr. Mitchell, as I knew him back in 1999, later went on to become Professor of Psychology of Northampton University, and one of the finest educators and role models you could ever hope to meet. He specialised in the psychology of positivity. Mine is just one of the many stories of the day, but hopefully it puts into perspective later on why I was so desperate to finish my quest for the silver pin. The Friday at Equinox is best seen as a time for the early birds to get settled in and soak in all of that pre-race atmosphere. Prior to the race, the organisers send out the race packs, including all of the essential rules, regulations and maps. In terms of camping, the event field has a few distinct areas. An area for general camping and teams, an area for caravans and campers, and a camping area for solos. This format lends itself to making life as easy as possible for everyone over the weekend. You will of course also have access to fresh water, showers and toilets located throughout the main site. The hub of the event is Race HQ. No matter if you're looking for fish and chips, churros, pizza, grilled cheese, baked potatoes and more, you'll be well catered for. The beer bus also made a popular return. If you have difficulty making friends, I suggest just walking into the beer bus. You won't be alone for long. You won't even remember that the event is about running. Soak in the atmosphere, as it feels very much like a festival rather than a traditional race weekend. Equinox 24 is a quirky event. Each year the Friday night hosts the traditional beer run. Simply charge your glass at the bar, on the mark, down it and complete one lap of the field, roughly 1 kilometre in length. For some, this is obviously the event that they've been training for and the best chance of a podium position for some. The race is all good-natured and it's fun. Even if you aren't a drinker yourself, it's a great prelude to tomorrow's main event.
4, 3, 2, 1.
It's clear that some take this event quite seriously. For others, well, they're just happy to be in such good company. After a stagger around the campsite, there is a small ceremony of awards for both genders. Congratulations, you've now won an award for public drinking. Cheers to you all. With Friday night events drawing to a close, the rains were moving in. It's Saturday morning and the camp has swelled overnight. We're now just hours from the main event. The overnight rain has made the entrance to the event a little muddy, but there's a well-organised system to get everyone in place. Before the main event, it's the children's race. Re-emphasising the weekend as a family event, the children's race has become an annual fixture and allows younger runners to get involved in the action for one lap of the field. The event is great for getting everyone in the mood and the supporters are in fine voice. For some, these will be some of the earliest memories of running and I can't think of a better place to start. The atmosphere as always is friendly and inclusive, with a range of ages and abilities on show. This is how junior races should be held. It's been a wet night in the camp, but the spirits remain very much undampened. The youngsters make it around the lap safely, as a prelude as to what will hopefully happen in the coming hours. The Saturday morning is your last chance to prepare for the main event. At my camp, I'm taking it easy with Yoda and Knitted Spider-Man, whilst my fiancée cooks up a full English breakfast. To this day, I'm still not sure what the correct shoes are to wear to one of these events, or what you should eat for breakfast. The answer to both seems to be, do what feels comfortable. If you're a first timer to these big occasions, the running that is, not breakfast, then one of my top tips would be to relax. On the start line, you'll look around and see 300-pound trail shoes, national champions, and some formidable running clubs. Just remember, it's a long day. If you've got the confidence to know that you're going out there to run your race, then you're already setting yourself up for a win. For me, breakfast is a time to have a chat with your neighbours and make sure that all of your kit is in good working order. As it rained quite a lot the night before, there's also the opportunity to try and dry out anything you need to. Pro tip, don't leave your electrical gadgets box on a damp floor as I did. If you haven't done so already, it's time to pick up your race pack. Inside you'll find all of the relevant information, a rather nifty keyring for your troubles, and the all-important electronic running tag. The tag can be fixed to the ankle via the band provided. Bear in mind though that your legs will swell during the 24 hours, so not too tight. I prefer to thread mine through my shoelaces. Just remember to transfer the tag though if you happen to change footwear during the race. A special shout out to Pirate Pete, who forgot his chip altogether in the excitement to motivate and entertain the rest of us with his pirate impressions. At 11:30, there's an official call to the starting area for a full debriefing. Expect a thorough talking to by race director Johnny Nicole. Key points to take away are the race format, keep everyone's safety in mind, and of course, no cheating. There's also a reminder that you'll need to sign the course book if you intend to spend any significant time off of the course. As a solo, if you expect to leave the course for any significant time, you are expected to sign the Book of Shame on the start line as you exit and return to the course. It just helps the organisers know that they don't have to dredge the river for bodies on the Sunday afternoon. For those unfamiliar with the format of Equinox 24, here's a quick overview. You can choose from several classes. Runners a large team consisting of 6 to 8 runners, a small team consisting of 3 to 5 runners, pairs consisting of, you guessed it, 2 people, and finally, solo runners. Each class provides its own challenges and adds a sense of variety to the event. For the team event, the first challenge is to find a group of suckers, friends, that are willing to form a team. One will take up their position on the start line, the rest will wait off the track. The first runner will complete the first loop. At the end of this loop, they will exchange their wristband with the second runner in the changeover pen. Importantly, there is only one runner from the team on the course at any one time. The wristband is the only element on track for the duration of the race. At this point, runner 1 typically takes the opportunity to rest, whilst runner 2 completes their lap, and so on. Most teams will decide a team order. In traditional track relay, the anchor, the person running last, is typically the strongest runner. However, in endurance relay, the strongest runner typically runs first. As this is a timed event, it makes sense that the fastest leads, as to give the best chance of time left for a third, fourth, or even fifth run. You will see a variety of tactics by different clubs though. Almost all teams will run one after another in a sequence. However, the rule is that only one team member can be on course at any one time, so it is possible to simply send one runner round and round time and time again. There's no real advantage to doing this, and of course they won't thank you for it either, as they're likely to feel quite ill. The pair event in many ways is quite similar to the team event. One person on the course at any one time, exchange the wristband and away you go. This class is a little bit specialist and requires a bit of coordination. The pairs I spoke to mostly favoured one lap each, swapping in between. However, some will employ a tactic of running multiple laps to give sufficient time for the partner to recover. However you choose to run this one, you'll need to have a good working knowledge of your partner's running ability and preferences. The soloist class, or idiots as we're known, choose to run alone to achieve as many laps as possible. You'll see a whole variety of tactics here. Those that use a steady pace and regular breaks, those that use running poles, and those that just try to carry on till the end. It's fascinating to watch and an experience you'll never forget if you take part. This is it, the moment the runners have been waiting for. In some cases months of preparation and training, for others it's Operation Wing and a Prayer. Whatever your class, level or ability, it's difficult not to feel the magnitude of what will happen within the next 24 hours. There's a lot of stories in the making on this start line. I'm going for a personal best, as are many others. Others will be first timers, those at the front serious runners. Many will be running for any number of personal reasons. A last check of the shoes, watches, and wishing everyone good luck, and the event begins. This is my 5th ultramarathon, and it never stops being frightening. You're only ever one potential twisted ankle away from retirement, or a second wind away from a personal best. So much can happen during the 24 hours, which is what makes an event like this so unpredictably exciting. Whilst I'm possibly not the best qualified to be handing out advice, there are some general tips of common sense that should help you if you're a first timer. Firstly, as a solo, unless you're an experienced runner, starting near the front won't necessarily help you. Since 10k, solos, pairs, small and large teams all set out together, unless you're expecting to run as fast as the 10k runners or a member of a large team, it's good practice to start further down the field if you can. This reduces the risk of being trampled from behind. Secondly, it's also a way to calm those race day nerves. By walking the first 250 metres, you know that you're not going to leave the starting blocks too quickly. In the grand scheme of 24 hours, sacrificing a minute of time is well worth it, even though your racing instinct will tell you to race from the off. So as we begin the course, it's a short run down victory lane. On the way out, expect cowbells, cheering, and support from other runners as you begin the new lap. Expect a slow getaway with a real mix of abilities. You'll soon be swept along in a river of high-spirited Equinoxes. You'll hang a left at the bottom of the field and then out onto the course where you'll pass the crossroads. Well done folks, you've run 700 metres, time for a loo break. Next you'll come to the first real hill of the course, the element I like to call the stairway. The rain has made this part of the course a little damp, so it's important to keep your footing. Don't be tempted to sprint this one on your first lap if you're in it for the long haul. My suggestion is to either power walk this one or practice a gentle gliding stride if you can. Now along the back of the field you'll get an excellent view of the other runners and the Beaver estate, all there for the taking. With around 5 minutes of racing gone, the field has already started to spread out. We're travelling at a fair pace already for the first lap. It will be important to rein it in a bit though before the hill sections. Next, it's a sharp left to the muddy downs. Here it's your choice of compact flooded mud path or a spongy grass field. Watch your footing here, as we did see fallers here in the night stage. The compact mud will give you speed, but at the risk of potential slippages. The grass bank will perhaps give you the safer route, but at the expense of getting your shoes damp and an overall slower speed for most runners. The softer grass will be kinder to your knees though. I've opted for a bit of a hybrid system as I find my feet out so early on in the race. Next, it's along a smooth runway for around a kilometre, a great opportunity to take stock of how your legs feel. The bride and the wedding company going well at this stage, not something you hear too often in an ultra race. This long runway can be a good opportunity to stretch your legs. You're reaching the 3 kilometre mark, and this is the first real flat concrete running section. On this first lap, I increased my stride length just to feel out any potential niggles from training. Next up, it's a turn at the crossroads, this time to your right, which will lead you down to the bridge. This is a picturesque part of the course, but don't be fooled. In the 2016 event, I fell into a pothole here and ended up in a ditch. It's okay though, I styled it out. From here, it's the infamous Not That Hill, a kilometre climb of concrete that only gets worse the further you ascend, making it the longest climb on the course. Martial assistance is available if required at the halfway point. At the top of the Not That Hill section, you'll find the aid station, commonly known as the Disco. No stopping this time though, as we've got some hills to conquer. We'll be back here later though. Now at the 6 kilometre mark, runners have broken the back of the loop. Things quickly go downhill though, as runners descend this hill. It's steep, uneven, and a real challenge for the quads. We've seen runners skip down, go down backwards, and even roll down. However you get down though, get down safely. At the bottom of this hill is a little slice of purgatory. A short track to get some feeling back in your legs before tackling the course's most talked about feature. That hill looms tall for the runners. It's steep, damp, and leg energy draining. The smart money is on power walking this one if you're going for the higher distances. You regularly hear people say, "It's not that bad," on their first time round. Ask them again on their 10th ascent. At the summit, the course rewards you with beautiful views of the countryside and an altogether picturesque view. Look out for the mini canyon before rejoining the road downwards. Before you know it, you'll find yourself gliding down a small hill in the river field. With 8 kilometres down, you can practically smell the campsite. A traditional mix of deep heat, sweaty morph suits, and pride. It's back over the bridge and onto your third encounter with the crossroads. A sharp right sees you into the home field. Be careful here. Straw is already laid out, but this is another corner that has claimed many fallers in the past. Now it's just the knobbly field to navigate. Expect support from the teams as you take the final corner. Team poppy fields on the left are always good for a cheer, and then on to complete your first lap. Solos run onwards, teams exchange the wristbands in the changeover pit. 10 kilometers down, just 23 hours of running to go. So it's at this stage I come in for my first pit stop. I typically sit down for anywhere between 2 to 5 minutes and take on liquids and snacks. The reason I don't stay longer is because of my joints. Once they stop, I find it incredibly difficult to get them going again, hence the runner's phrase, beware the chair. Personally, a mix of Haribo, Jaffa Cakes, Flat Coke and Mars bars all work well for me as an energy boost throughout the race. I'm now avoiding specialist energy gels as they tend to give me stomach cramps. What will work for one person though may not work for others, so I would definitely advise testing out your race day foods well in advance of the big race day. Sugary foods alone won't be enough to sustain you for the whole 24 hours. As a long chain food, I tend to take tuna sandwiches. The combination of the salt from the fish and carbohydrate from the bread seems to work for me. It's also moist enough to swallow without too many issues. I doubt you'll find this advice in many runners' guides, but it works for me, and a lesson learned after Equinox 2015, when my mouth was so dry I couldn't swallow any solid foods. Somehow, buttery bread with fish became the solution. During the daylight hours, the event is still in its early stages of buzz and excitement. I'm trying to keep my running easy this year, as I know I tend to suffer in the later stages of the race. This year I've had my fair share of pulled muscles, twisted ankles and a whole host of general aches and pains. It would be so easy to stop at the end of a lap at Equinox and blame it on injury. Experience will win out in these situations if you can manage your aches through to a tolerable level of pain. It is only lap 1 though, and thankfully no major complaints from my side. Whilst I'm fixed on my race, there's a lot going on elsewhere on the track. The team events are really hotting up. Whether you're from a serious club or just entering as a personal challenge, it's clear that there's a lot of personal pride on show as runners hand over the team wristband. As for the solos, you'll find an incredibly diverse set of runners, from first timers all the way right through to elite runners. One runner you'll always see at Equinox is Sid the Morphman. Serial charity fundraiser and all-round good guy, Sid chooses to spend his time running from within a morph suit in aid of Birmingham Children's Hospital. He's not the strongest or fastest runner you'll see out there on the course, but his distinctive choice of runwear makes him one of the perennial favourites with other runners. Somehow it just wouldn't be Equinox without him. By this point my suit is getting quite overheated and I'm not even wearing the hood. Sid definitely has a special gift for this type of event. Another man you'll no doubt have noticed en route this year is Deadpool, aka Jason Walker, who's running for a selection of cancer-related charities. Jason has also gone for the full suit with additional belt. It's a look that's gone down very well with the other Equinoxers, and you have to admire anyone that steps up to put themselves through such a challenge. If you ask nicely, he'll also give you a crisp high five on the way round. Not all heroes run in suits though, and this is a guy that's running a little light this year. Edward Batch is an altruistic kidney donor, having saved the life of a local Leicestershire boy. Edward's new mission is to go from operation to ultra within a year. It's not every day you meet someone that's saved a life in such a way, so it's only natural he's made a lot of friends through his running campaigns. Edward is well known within the running community. Whilst not outwardly obvious, his day will no doubt be a very special and meaningful one. You'll find a lot of stories out there on the course, some running for friends and family that have passed on, others running to raise money for charity. Equinox also saw a wedding party this year as Vicky Murphy invited guests to run the course with her. An assortment of guests from the bride and groom's side were a constant fixture on the course, a memorable day for everyone involved. As for who else runs at Equinox 24, expect to see a wide range of teams at this event. There's always competition at any race weekend you go to, but it's all very good spirited. You'll see rival teams sharing camp space, battery chargers, and supporting each other throughout the weekend. The competition for most teams is secondary to the fun of the journey of taking part. Aside from the professional clubs, expect a whole bunch of teams of have-a-go heroes. Those that are just getting into running, those that just wanted a challenge, and those that are there because their friend made them do it. No matter who's in your team, it's your team, even if they do leave you standing in the cold at 3 AM. In terms of everyone else, well, of course there's Pete the Pirate, runners in tutus, army packs being carried, Robin Hood, Team Legion, Superwoman, Wonder Woman and Superman, the Hairy Lady, and a chicken. Somehow it all makes sense when you're out there. Racing continues into the evening. The runners are now well spread out, and particularly for the solos, most will be running their own race. Solos are still pushing onwards, and the changeover gate is still in full flow, some taking the opportunity for a handover kiss. If you're spectating, then the crossroads is worth the 2-minute walk from camp. There you'll see Equinoxers at around the 700 metre mark, 3.5 kilometres and 9 kilometre mark. You'll get to see the diversity of running styles of runners at different stages on the lap. Some will be out on fresh legs, others will be trying to keep their efforts contained as they try to fight off injury and fatigue. Another handy tool for spectators and runners is the timing computer. At any time you can check out the live data at the console located near the race start line. It's also worth mentioning at this point a few details of what is included in your race entry. Think of the entry price as a whole weekend getaway. For your entry fee, you get the all-important entry into the race itself, recorded by the timing chip provided. Included in the price is the camping place for Friday, Saturday and Sunday night if needed. The ever-popular Equinox 24 training shirt with the names of competitors on the back. Solos get the solo shirt and teams get the team shirt. The list of names also doubles up as a therapy group list for those traumatised by the weekend. In terms of on-course support, the course is fully marshalled. There's water at the start line and also an aid station providing both water and energy drink at around the 5.5 kilometre mark. Not only is the course marshalled, but it's also covered by a medical team should runners get into trouble. Finally, there's the all-important race medal and pins after you complete Equinox 24. Afterwards, you'll no doubt want to look back at the event. Also included in the price is the free social media sized event photography provided by Curly Photography. Glenn's team of photographers work around the clock to capture all of the action. Automated cameras are set up on the start-finish line, but his team are also placed around the course to deliver you that bonus extra to remind you of the day. So, as you can see, the entry price covers far more than just a field to run around. As the day progresses, you'll start to get a sense of the different types of people that enter Equinox 24, and what they want to get out of the day. A whole mix of amateurs and professionals take on Equinox side by side. If you are someone that's looking to take part, but perhaps feel a bit intimidated, you have no reasons to worry. The atmosphere is the most inclusive of any running event I've taken part in. You're almost guaranteed to meet a large number of great people out on the course. You'll walk the hills together, share head torchlight, and keep each other company. It's partly that positive sense of collective goal that pushes everyone forward. Even in the changeover pen, you'll find an uncommon sense of community, strangers of all abilities thrown together with a shared challenge. Early evening is setting in and the race continues. As darkness falls, it is mandatory to wear head torches whilst out on course. With visibility and temperature both dropping a little, it's only natural that the pace of the race slows down a bit. However, there is still plenty of cheering and support from the crowd and other competitors. The initial party mood of the race is still alive, and the event very much feels like a social gathering. By this stage, don't be surprised to see running repairs on feet. That small blister at 6 PM can become a huge issue by 11 PM. The transition gate for the teams is still a vibrant area of activity, wristbands still making their seemingly non-stop journey around the Beaver estate. For many, this will be their first true experience of distance running at night. It can look a bit like Night of the Living Dead at times, but night running is just one of the interesting elements of the event. For those not on the course, there's an opportunity to hang out at the beer bus, or refuel with the numerous supporting food outlets. Out on the course, it's also dark, so running is becoming more of a challenge. It's a pleasant stage of the race though. After the daylight, the cooler temperature and lights of the other Equinoxes create a peaceful running environment. As the night stage really begins, I enlist the help of my trusty Yoda backpack. He's good for carrying sandwiches, spare batteries and a drink. Absolutely useless for running as a pair though. Still, he's been with me for some time and he complains if I don't take him out on the course. On the night stage, the course takes on a very different feel. The disco aid station becomes a very welcome rest stop to break up the lap. It's that feeling of an oasis at the top of Not That Hill. By this time, the marshals are serving water on the left and energy drink on the right. If you're running a bit low on sugar, this is an absolute gift. As this is a 24-hour event, it's worth remembering that the course also has to be supported 24 hours a day. Whether that's by the organisers, medical staff or aid station, behind the scenes there's a lot of people putting in effort to ensure that the runners are safe and catered for. I may be a little biased, but I can tell you they are also some of the friendliest marshals you'll find. Many having taken part in the Equinox themselves. Overall, you're in good hands at this event from start to finish. They're definitely not there for show. With over 1,000 people on site, slippery conditions and runners going all out for personal bests, it's inevitable that some will need to be either patched up or assisted, no matter how careful they are. By night time, that hill asserts itself as a dominant course element. You can no longer see to the top and you'll just have to grind it out into the darkness. At first light, you're aware of two things. Firstly, you're still alive, which always comes as a relief. The second is the feeling that you're onto the last stages of the race. Midday may be some 6 hours away, but the light makes it seem possible after a long night of darkness. The aid station is still there, as are the hills, but you know that if you can just keep your legs turning, you may get to that elusive personal best. By this stage, my legs are stiffening up quite badly, and any chance of actually running has gone. That doesn't mean that I can't grind out the last few hours though, on my running poles. That hill though, is a real challenge. The overnight damp and my aching joints are making this a real battle to stay upright. The morning continues, but my physical condition continues to deteriorate with each kilometre. At this stage of the race, it's only the battle-hardened, experienced runners that will be moving at any speed. For the rest of us, it's a case of just persevering through aching joints and swollen ankles. I did manage to make it onto lap 15 before the cut-off deadline. All I had to do was complete the lap to complete my year-long challenge and win the silver pin. It's that moment you begin to believe that you might actually be able to finish the culmination of a year-long event. Mother Stanley was on hand to make sure I was still moving. Now, it's at this point I had to stop filming, as holding the camera became too much of a challenge. After struggling to stand out of my chair at my campsite, I made a last-ditch effort to finish this race once and for all. Cue the badly animated substitute film. Things started going from bad to worse. Around the 145km mark at the top of Not That Hill, my body was in a very bad place. My toenail was falling off, my leg had excruciating cramp, and I was feeling sick and dizzy from exhaustion. At Equinox, they have a saying, one more lap, and that's exactly what you have to keep in mind. Despite getting near the top of Not That Hill, my body gave out and I finally collapsed from heat exhaustion at the side of the road. Thankfully, there were some very kind Equinoxers around me to give me water and sweets, whilst I took a short nap on the ground. The Equinoxers also managed to alert the mobile medical team in what seemed like only seconds to me. My major fear was that I wouldn't be allowed to continue and finish the race after coming so close. After an ice pack on the back of the neck, blood pressure and heart rate taken, and 2 cups of energy drink, I was deemed well enough to continue. This last 5 kilometres would be the hardest challenge to finish an ultra event ever. With very spongy legs, I would still have to get down this hill and back up that hill. I'm an incredibly stubborn person and always said that I would finish the challenge at all costs. At this point, I'd stumbled upon some luck. Another runner called Martin from Poplar Running Club came to my rescue and offered to walk back with me those final challenging kilometres. It was the moment that race number 123 would help out number 345. I was still slightly dizzy and exhausted at this point, so it's difficult to put into words how thankful I was. My entire campaign had been riding on this event, and to not finish would have been a disaster. With Martin's guidance, we made our way back to the finish line, and at long last, Equinox 2017 was over, and so was the Spider Stand Challenge. At the time, I probably hadn't taken in all of the information going on around me. Martin himself had been on lap 14 when he stopped to offer me help, with a chance of making it round before the deadline onto his own lap 15. His selflessness to assist me those last few kilometres almost certainly impacted his own attempt for the silver pin, and for that you can only call him a hero. We may have been competing in the solo event, but you can only say that this was a team effort to finish this quest. That's the spirit of Equinox though. You'll see people giving it their all for charities, remembering past friends, and people selfless enough to help a stranger in need. People often ask me why anyone would want to run 24 hours at Equinox. The answer is very simple. You'll see and experience some of the most incredible things ever, in a field, in the middle of nowhere. For me, this year started off as a simple fundraising challenge for spinal research that turned into a run of remembrance. The climactic quest for the silver pin at Equinox was in the end a desperate struggle at times, but the sense of achievement more than matched it. For anyone out there wondering if Equinox 24 is for you, I simply can't recommend it enough. If you're prepared to put the effort in, you'll get even more out in return.